Welcome to the Spitzen-Körper Thelema. We are reading from Éliphas Lévi's Ritual of Transcendental Magic, published in 1856 at the height of the Second Empire, when Levi was consolidating what would become the philosophical spine of modern Western esotericism. This passage is the philosophical prolegomena to his entire system, a rewriting of Genesis that places Lucifer not as Satan, but as the necessary counterforce without which creation itself becomes impossible. Levi inherited this current from the radical heterodox Christianity of the early Gnostics, from certain strains of Martinism, and from his own synthesis of Kabbalah with romantic idealism. But he systematized it in a way no predecessor had. This is not Catharism or Ophitism echoing in the margins of heresy. This is a man of the mid-19th century arguing, with philosophical rigor, that rebellion and negation are not corruptions of the divine order, they are its foundation. He was read by the Golden Dawn, by Crowley, by every esotericist who followed. This is where the lineage begins. The text that follows is Levi's mythological argument for a universe constituted by polarity. Light requires darkness. Freedom requires the possibility of denial. God requires an adversary not because God is weak, but because without resistance, creation dissolves into undifferentiated unity. Pay attention to what he does with the word Lucifer. It is not synonymous with evil. It is the morning star, the intelligence that opened its eyes, that let there be light and immediately said number. Light, which is the divine word, shines because it desires to be seen. When it says, let there be light, it ordains that eyes shall open, it creates intelligences. When God said, let there be light, intelligence was made, and the light appeared. Now, the intelligence which God diffused by the breath of his mouth, like a star given off from the sun, took the form of a splendid angel, who was saluted by heaven under the name of Lucifer. Intelligence awakened, and comprehended its nature completely by the understanding of that utterance of the divine word, let there be light. It felt itself to be free because God had called it into being, and, raising up its head, with both wings extended, it replied, I will not be slavery. Then shalt thou be suffering, said the untreated voice. I will be liberty, replied the light. Pride will seduce thee, said the supreme voice, and thou wilt bring forth death. I needs must strive with death to conquer life, again responded the created light. Thereupon God loosed from his bosom the shining cord which restrained the superb angel, and beholding him plunge through the night, which he furrowed with glory, he loved the offspring of his thought, and said with an ineffable smile, how beautiful was the light. God has not created suffering, intelligence has accepted it to be free. And suffering has been the condition imposed upon freedom of being by him who alone cannot err, because he is infinite. For the essence of intelligence is judgment, and the essence of judgment is liberty. The eye does not really possess light except by the faculty of closing or opening. Were it forced to be always open, it would be the slave and victim of the light, and would cease to see in order to escape the torment. Thus, created intelligence is not happy in affirming God, except by its liberty to deny him. Now, the intelligence which denies, invariably affirms something, since it is asserting its liberty. It is for this reason that blasphemy glorifies God and that hell was indispensable to the happiness of heaven. Were the light unrepelled by shadow, there would be no visible forms. If the first angels had not encountered the depths of darkness, the childbirth of God would have been incomplete, and there could have been no separation between the created and essential light. Never would intelligence have known the goodness of God if it had never lost him. Never would God's infinite love have shone forth in the joys of his mercy had the prodigal Son of heaven remained in the house of his Father. When all was light, there was light nowhere, it filled the breast of God, who was laboring to bring it forth. And when he said, let there be light, He permitted the darkness to repel the light, and the universe issued from chaos. The negation of the angel who at birth refused slavery constituted the equilibrium of the world, and the motion of the spheres commenced. The infinite distances admired this love of liberty, which was vast enough to fill the void of eternal night and strong enough to bear the hatred of God. But God could hate not the noblest of his children, and he proved him by his wrath only to confirm him in his power. So also the Word of God himself, as if jealous of Lucifer, willed to come down from heaven and pass triumphantly through the shadows of hell. He willed to be proscribed and condemned. He premeditated the terrible hour when he should cry, in the throes of his agony, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" As the star of the morning goes before the sun, the rebellion of Lucifer announced to newborn nature the coming incarnation of God. Possibly Lucifer, in his fall through night, carried with him a rain of suns and stars by the attraction of his glory. Possibly our sun is a demon among the stars, as Lucifer is a star among the angels. Doubtless it is for this reason that it lights so calmly the horrible anguish of humanity and the long agony of earth, because it is free in its solitude and possesses its light. What Levi has done here is revolutionary. He has taken the problem that plagued Christian theodicy for 16 centuries. Why does God permit evil? And he has answered it by abolishing the category of evil itself. Evil is not permitted, it is required. It is the necessary other. Lucifer is not a fallen angel, he is the first free intelligence, the one who understood that affirmation without the possibility of negation is slavery. His rebellion is the creation of the universe. Without it, there would be undifferentiated light, which is to say, no light at all, no form, no distinction, no world. This argument descended from German idealism, from Schelling and Hegel, filtered through the heterodox mysticism of Martinez de Pasquale and Louis-Claude de Saint Martin. But Levi weaponized it. He married it to Kabbalah, to the theory of the magical agent, the Ad, the Ob, the Ar, and to a doctrine of universal correspondences that would permit a magician to work with, not against, the fundamental polarity of existence. Lucifer becomes not the enemy of God but his necessary partner in the work of manifestation. The magus who understands this can operate without guilt, without the paralysis of Christian dualism. He can work with all forces because all forces are divine, including those the Church called demonic. What followed was a genealogy of practice. The Golden Dawn adopted Levi's model wholesale. Crowley radicalized it. The entire project of modern high magic rests on this single inversion, the admission that the adversarial principle is not opposed to the divine, but constitutive of it. Once you accept Levi's argument, you cannot remain a Christian in the medieval sense. You become something else entirely. Next, Arthur Edward Waite, The Holy Kabbalah. The Spitzen-Körper Thelema. If this archive serves you, support it on Patreon. Link in the description.